Hi, everybody. Welcome to Experts Dig In with Doggies for Dementia. I am Carmen DeValis and the founder of Doggies for Dementia Foundation. I am a professional photographer, former nurse practitioner, and started this nonprofit, a 501c3, to help raise awareness and teach the world about dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and other forms of dementia so that we can have a more kind and compassionate world and have more support for family caregivers out there doing the tough stuff. And I love interviewing families, family members, family caregivers, and people doing amazing things out there, almost as a result of the experience that they had. And today's no different. I want to welcome Mike Plaskey here today.
How are you?
You're wonderful.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Great.
Yeah, Mike is the vice president and founder of Team Suzy. And Mike, there's no way I can do justice with your intro to
Okay.
what Team Suzy is and how it came about. But we
Okay.
would love to hear your story on
Okay.
that. Yeah.
That's great. My wife Suzy was diagnosed with younger onset Alzheimer's when she was in her early to mid 50s, and after a number of years of symptoms that we don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So at that time, I was working out of state, and I came back home. We have three children. Two were in high school, one was in college. And I became a caregiver after diagnosis, kind of that process of, your primary care to the next level, to the next level, to the neurologist. And then here we are with a diagnosis. The first people after the diagnosis I met were from the Alzheimer's Association and kind of explained to me what was going on and where we're headed. So after the shock wore out, about 6 to 8 months later, my brother and sister-in-law started a trust. And how we raised money for the trust was through a golf outing. And that allowed me to become a caregiver at home. Suzy stay at home. It allowed me to work and allowed the children to continue their education so they didn't have to become a caregiver. And we were kind of on our way into the path of caregiving and Alzheimer's and dementia. So Suzy passed in, so that was in like 2013, 14 area. And she passed in January of 2020. And at that time, after that journey of caregiving, we dissolved the trust. And my nephew, Jimmy Plaskey, and I sat down in a cold March day in his basement on a whiteboard and said, what are we going to do? How are we going to help the next people? Because we had both become super involved with the Alzheimer's Association through support groups, through educational seminars that they put on. And then we even advocated. We went to Washington, we went to Lansing, Michigan to advocate for Alzheimer's. So we thought there was more, and we started writing ideas down on this whiteboard. And
isn't it amazing how many great ideas start with a whiteboard in a room? It's like so humble beginnings, right?
It is.
Yeah,
It
us
is
too.
crazy.
I mean, yes,
Right.
yes, yeah.
And you write something over here, and next thing you're over here, and by the time you get back to here, it's like, wait, we're down the path. We're past that already. You don't even realize it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
when we decided to become a 501, all the challenges of that and all the paperwork and stuff, it took us about a year or so to become fully legal and name and everything. And all the time, the next one was the next golf outing. We continued to raise money to put into the 501. So last year in 2021, we had enough funds from our golf outing to help 6 families with respite care, with adult care products, with bed wedges, with cameras, with whatever they need on the day-to-day caregiving spectrum, which is huge.
Yes.
I
yes.
need 10 hours here, or I need adult underwear. I need boost drinks. I need something. And so now we're moving forward with that into our second year of giving, and we're making some good progress.
So 6 families in basically your first year.
Correct.
That's pretty amazing
Yeah.
because the we hear a lot about the emotional costs, if you will, the emotional of diagnosis, and
Yeah.
you talked about it rather quickly, but I do know that that time between seeing things happen and actual diagnoses, and then that recovery and the ongoing grieving is huge. So I'm not going to ever say that's not huge, but
Right,
the financial burden and the
right.
financial, it's a crisis, which is equally emotional there, right? We're like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? And you mentioned your
How's it gonna happen?
kids. Yeah, or my kids going to become caregivers
Oh,
instead of college students or high school students, and how to do that. So to say that you're helping 6 families,
mhm.
um, I don't know if you can share, like, on, like, when you're awarding a grant to families,
So how
fin
I'll go back and start when the diagnosis and that, and it's devastating, and all those things go through your mind, and it's not just one time, it's all the time.
all the
Going to sleep,
time.
it's always there. What are we doing? How is this going to happen? And
Right.
one of the things I say all the time, Carmen, is I wouldn't be in this chair today, where I'm sitting today, talking to you, unless I was, first of all, willing to get educated and get help from the Alzheimer's Association, learn about the disease and what's coming forward. The
Right.
second, most importantly, is I went to a support group. In the support group, people told me the truth. They didn't say, hey, everything's going to be, no, no, this is what's going to happen, and you better prepare for it.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the first few meetings, I was crying.
Mhm.
By 5 or 6 years later, I was making people cry in a good way because they didn't want to hear the truth. But I said, you have to know the truth to move
Mhm.
forward.
Right.
And so I always look at it and say, please, get educated and get help. And so that's when we decided, it was part of our idea of Team Suzy. So
Mhm.
our process now is when you apply for a grant, the things that we're obviously looking for is that somebody has dementia, the person, loved one has dementia or Alzheimer's. It doesn't matter, whether, oops, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's real life here, folks.
Oh my God. Um, it doesn't matter, frontal temporal, vascular, that's not the issue, that you have it,
Mhm.
you're living at home or with a loved one, and that, you need help. It doesn't matter financially either, whether you make $1 million or that's not our business. Our business isn't about, people's finances, it's about the help. And
Mhm.
everybody needs help, whether they're financially stable or not, you still can use help.
Yeah.
So when you apply for a grant, those are the things, and we just need a doctor's letter to say, hey, this person is suffering from Alzheimer's.
Right.
And then we go about, making sure they're at home, and then it's that simple. We've kind of thought, Carmen, that you got to make it simple. If it's
Yeah. True.
fixed,
True.
nobody
There's no
wants
time for anything but simple, right? Yeah.
nothing. Right,
There's no
right,
time. There's no
right.
energy, no bandwidth, and it's
That's
like,
right.
this
That's
is
right.
what I have. And yeah, and I'm sure even that in simplicity, given the multiple challenges, some of what you
Hmm.
just mentioned, right, as a
Yeah,
caregiver, and even for, especially for new caregivers that are just learning and
right.
have no idea yet,
None.
what, and constantly worrying, am I doing enough? Is this okay? Should I be doing something different? And it's just so much that goes into it. And then to say, oh, by the way, there's this or there's that. And I know we've talked before, and about even having
Yeah,
a national resource of nonprofits
correct.
supporting families and what they can do. But above
Right.
all, is let's keep it simple and straightforward so that
Keep
we
it
can
simple.
help the most. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on Monday, I went and visited a family that we connected through, uh, seeing somebody randomly in the store. Oh, I know who you are. We went to the same high school. My dad has it, and my mom is
Oh.
stubborn. Okay, I
Mhm.
got it. So over the last 2 months, we finally got together on Monday, and they unfortunately have had it in their family on the father's side. Excuse me, and they have an idea, but Mary was stubborn.
Mhm.
Like, I don't need help. I'm like, yes, you do. You have to explain that if you got 10 hours a week to do your life, that's important.
Mhm.
And I'm when people call and ask, will you talk to someone? Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I kind of have a checklist that goes with our roadmap. You know, Team Suzy has a roadmap to caregiving. And where are you starting? And the first thing I always say is finances. Finances and lawyers, and that has to be in order. So when people can't sign, it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your future.
And
And then I
isn't
said,
that's like the last thing we want to think about
that's
too,
right,
right? Is those
exactly.
logistics or when you say put your affairs in order, it's like, yeah, no, I don't want to think about
No,
that.
no,
And this, but it's you're right, it is key important and
very,
yeah,
very important.
yeah,
And because
yeah.
there, you know, legally, there's things that are going to happen down the road, and if they're taken care of, then you don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
We know that, but then like the next couple steps are, get educated,
Mm-hmm.
understand what the disease is. Everybody's going to be different, but there's a common theme here
Yeah.
that's going to happen, and then go about making a plan, not for today or tomorrow, for a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll help you, like guide you. We will help you. Like, this is where you have to be. Don't worry about how I'm going to get groceries today. You're going to have to worry about when your loved one needs you to make the decision to stay at home or go to a facility. And how does
Mm-hmm.
that do that? And that goes back to the costs and everything associated with that. And
Yeah.
it's
Ooh.
it's just it's so important. And then if they're at home, like I talked to Mary this week and Mary and Terry on Monday, it's like, you know, uh, you have to take up the rugs. He has a cane and he shuffles, and you're going to have trip
Mm-hmm.
factors. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't sleep, and he stays up late. And I said, well, what does he eat and drink? Well, he drinks Pepsi. I said, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, there's some
You got
caffeine and sugar
caffeine
there.
addiction. Yeah.
Ooh,
And oh, does
yeah.
he have a sweet tooth? And I said, well, you're going to have to
Yeah.
start weaning him off of this stuff. And this is where, you become the caregiver. You
Yeah.
have to do these things to make your journey easier, because Carmen, my thing is, again, I'm in this chair because I wanted to be in the chair first of all, eventually,
Yeah.
but I sought help to do that because there's more than life. The whole caregiving experience isn't necessarily about Alzheimer's and death.
Uh-huh.
That we can't change. I cannot change that, nor can anyone at this time in the world. But you can take care of the rest of the life.
Yes.
You have a life, your family has a life, there's life after death. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we get to that point? That's the most
Yes.
important thing to me.
I'm s-
And
I'm so glad, Mike, you're saying this too, because the point on learning about it and educating is it does take that time and effort and things. And in families that I've spoken to, even some that were like my patients as a nurse
yeah,
practitioner, and then I met with them through the years later and wrote a book and was telling their stories. And they told me things they didn't ever tell me in the clinic, even though we had like 45-minute visits,
yeah,
and they were sharing things. And I said, can I just ask what changed that you would tell me now in this as an author versus as a nurse practitioner? And like,
yeah.
I felt guilty, like I should already know this,
Mm-hmm.
that I could be doing better. Everybody
Yeah,
else does it better than me already, and I'm failing. I didn't want to disappoint you, which
right.
really amazed me. And
Yeah,
that I was so afraid that if I sought out information or had more questions, that it appeared I was failing. And you'd say, my mom, or you fill in the blank, whoever that might be, needs to
yes,
go into long-term care.
yes.
And
Mhm.
I didn't want that.
Right.
And so there was just so much wrapped around asking for help.
And
Be
people don't want to ask.
Yeah,
It's the human being, like, I can do it all.
yeah.
No, no,
Yes,
you're
we
not
want
going to do it
to.
all.
That's our way
And
of showing love when there isn't a lot else we can do,
right,
right? It's like, I'll take
correct.
control of this.
I'll do all of it. And
Yes.
so then with that thinking becomes, well, no one helps me.
Hmm.
Well, you can't not let someone help you. You can't not ask for help and then say, well, they don't help me. And
Hmm.
then one of the other things I'm pretty much a preacher of is that forget about someone who's not helping. Don't spend your energy on people who say no. Spend
Hmm.
your energy on you and your caregiving. People are human beings, and some people just can't handle it. They just
Hmm.
can't become a caregiver. They just can't help, or they don't want to. But to spend your energy on that, you're wasting time and energy on something you have no control over whatsoever. None
You mean
whatsoever.
resenting for the, yeah, because
My
that's
brother
tough.
doesn't help, my
Hmm.
sister doesn't help, this doesn't help. And my saying is that's okay. It's maddening and frustrating, but
Yeah.
their come to Jesus is at the kneeler.
Hmm.
Then they have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And that just kind of cascades into that, all the feelings around the stigma and the isolation and the loneliness, because it feeds right into it when you're saying, I just feel so alone
That's right.
here. And then the people who you were thinking you could count on, you cannot.
That's
And
right.
isn't that a big part of the
Yeah,
education too, or
it really is.
expectations? And yeah, I
Hmm.
just so love that. That is more than just the grant for caregiving
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
caregiver support that you're doing financially, but
Yeah.
this piece of it that you've been there and you've done
Yeah.
that. And
Right.
yeah,
And we have
yeah.
board members that have been caregivers. Uh, my honey now, Liz, that I'm with, she was a caregiver for her mother,
Mhm.
and we have like a calendar, 30-day calendar where she has all the caregivers, their hours, how much they're being paid, who's coming, who's watching. You're doing this, as a caregiver. This isn't your job. You're
Yeah.
organizing this,
Your
how people
manager.
get paid. Yes. And
Yeah.
so it is a very detailed process, but the other you touched on was loneliness. It is
Yeah.
it is so lonely, and in our space, in the Alzheimer's space, with no communication, when the communication stops, it
Hmm.
becomes very lonely. With other illnesses in our society, there's communication.
Yeah.
In that
Yeah.
communication, I hurt, I'm hungry, I love you, I don't want to see you, whatever those are. The communication with Suzy sometimes was giggly, giggly, and then, just rage, anger. And it's
Yes.
like, how does that happen? And it's part of
Right.
the illness,
It's part of the illness.
yes. And
Yeah.
it's a really one of those things you have to work on and say, it's okay, it's okay, you
Hmm.
know, don't go
So
to bed
this is
crying
the
every night.
perfect, yeah. What a perfect segue, because also know as part of your nonprofit, you
Yeah.
have what is it, companion pet program?
Yes. Uh,
Yeah. So tell
yes.
us, because doggies for
Uh,
dementia. We just know.
this is super exciting for us, and it, it,
Yeah.
it came about really innocently, through a friend of our team, Suzy. He is friends with the vice president of Michigan Humane, and I had, you know, Suzy had a dog. We had a dog, Dusty, and
Mhm.
Dusty and Suzy were like this before her illness, and then after. He was the companion. He was there all the time.
Mm.
So when our friend mentioned something, I was like, well, start thinking of stories going, of course. Dusty was there for Suzy and by her side all the time, the
Mhm.
whole time. And
Mhm.
I related a story that when I could still leave her at home, she was walking the neighborhood. She walked the neighborhood all the time with Dusty. And Dusty knew his way through the neighborhood like anyone's get home anytime. And she called me, and I was an hour away from home, and she said, I'm lost. And I said, can you give me an idea where you might be, like houses? Where are you looking? What are you doing? She says, well, I'm with Dusty. We went out for a walk, but I don't know how to get home. And I said, why don't you just let Dusty go? Just let him go. Let him off the leash. Let go, and he will take you home. Because I know he's going to want to go home. So he'll just take you home. And she couldn't do it because that was her safety.
Yeah.
Like if I
Yeah.
let Dusty go and he goes, then she realized right there, like that was my safety.
Yeah.
So I ended up calling my brother, who happened to be close, and she was a block from home with Dusty, and they got home. But
Mhm.
I thought about it after, going, that was her safety. The
Yeah.
dog was the safety for her in
Mhm.
the comfort. So
Yeah, and the
when we,
anxiety that it would feel seeing your dog walk away, and
yeah,
will there be that connection I need to follow, may or may
that's
not
right,
have happened, right?
that's
It
right,
just depends.
right. And
Yeah. Oh,
and
wow.
then Carmen, it makes you also then think about, are we at the next level of the illness?
Mhm.
So there was a lot that went on that. So
Yeah.
fast forward when we started talking with Michigan Humane, we developed a program that we people and families with dementia and Alzheimer's and their caregivers can adopt a pet through Michigan Humane, and they've been gracious to help us with the initial costs of the dog, uh, uh, adopting the dog, all their medical care, and then the vets and everything. So when the family decides to adopt a pet, it's a healthy dog or cat.
Uh-huh.
And then what Team Suzy's role is that we will issue a grant to the family to help cover the cost of that pet on a yearly basis, as long as the loved one is alive. And then the family can adopt the dog from there if they want. So it's a really cool program that we just launched in July, and we're starting to move forward with meeting people and trying to find that connection with somebody. And when I was doing my research on all this, I there's lots of studies. There are plenty of studies of pets and dementia patients. And then I came across your organization, and it was like, ooh, this
I'm
is
so
big.
glad you did.
Oh, perfect. And
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought that the day I found your organization, I talked to Liz. I was like, Liz, you got to see this. This is perfect. And then I called my nephew Jimmy. I'm like, Jimmy, this is like the coolest thing you'll ever see. This is right up our alley. This would be a perfect match. And so that's how we found you. And that's like, it is. You understand, and your organization understands the power of pets.
Yeah.
And what that means. And to put it into pictures is, that's so special. That's so
I
cool.
just love that.
Yeah,
I just
I
love
know.
that. And the wheels are turning now, Mike, because I'm thinking, yeah, how do
Yeah.
we bring that to other states? We can start with
Yeah.
Texas
Yeah.
next.
It's the
Yeah.
truth, though.
Yeah.
It's the
Because
truth.
it's so,
And
yeah.
I firmly believe that that your program is sustainable, and it can go everywhere.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
there is a researcher down at the University of Toledo, Janet Hoy, and she did a study in Toledo of people with mental challenges and adopting a pet. And they measured the people with their saliva. And there's, what was it, serotonin, or
Um, I
it's
think so. I read
it's
it.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Or
so anyway,
dopamine,
yes,
the
and
stress hormones and things. Yeah.
right, and she did the study, and there's a measurable study
Mhm.
on with the pets and without.
Yeah.
And you really have to sit back and go, okay, this
Hmm.
is cool. This is
Yeah.
really cool stuff. And
Yeah.
if you can help one family or two family get through a day or a week or whatever with a pet,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, that comfort and peace that animals bring, that unconditional love kind of
Yes,
feeling is,
yes,
it makes measurable physical differences,
yes,
positive,
it does.
which
That's right.
is just astounding, when you think
Hmm.
we know that in our hearts, those of us who are animal lovers, are like, no doubt.
That's right.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
would
I
you do?
come
What
through the
would you do
door.
without it?
I don't know
Yeah,
what I would do without mine. I mean, I
right.
go check the mail and I walk back and it's like I've been gone a week, like, oh my gosh, where have you been?
I
And
agree.
so,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. So I
And I
just,
think,
yeah. I want to be sure we're going to have the links to,
okay,
Team Suzy
yes,
in both the blog and on this video, of course, on YouTube.
yeah,
And, but we're both nonprofits, and
yes,
I think we both come from a place of, as most nonprofits do, we just
mm,
have big hearts, and we're like, what can we do, and I know that there are probably other people out there, and
yeah,
caregivers and beyond, who are thinking like, yeah, I'd like to take this journey that I've been through and manifest that into something bigger than you can
uh,
even imagine, like our whiteboards, right? Your whiteboard
correct,
that just goes on
correct,
and on, and
right,
things, and but with all of that, I want to just give kudos because I
yeah, well,
there's no doubt that a
yeah,
nonprofit, I believe you started around March of 2020, also, like right around
correct, yes,
us
yes,
too, right at the
right.
pandemic time, and
So,
uh
Carmen, we knew that when we were growing, when this was starting to grow, and we had some success, you kind of have like that aha moment, like, where do we go, and how is this going to look, and someone's got to do it. And then I look at my board and say, these guys are retired, these people are still working, I'm still working. So last summer, I've been in the building products industry, lumber and that type of stuff for 30 years.
Hmm.
And last June, an opportunity came up to kind of leave the company I was doing. And Team Suzy was starting on the trajectory, and I had a conversation with myself and with Liz and some other board members, and I said, if we want this to go to someplace, I'm going to have to do it. My
Hmm.
name is kind of attached to it, and I have to do this with the support of the board and everybody with it. But someone has to do it, the work, like write the grants and do those things. So I retired, semi-retired,
Yeah.
and took on a non-paying nonprofit job
A full time, no doubt,
full
right?
time,
I get
full
that.
time.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
sometimes I harken back to my caregiving days and going like I'm at night going, oh boy, what am I doing?
Yeah. What
Uh,
am I doing?
but
Yeah.
I know that there's times that I say, I need to go back to work and I need to do this and then I said, wait, just hang on and let's get this thing going to a point and see what happens.
Hmm.
But when you start having success, you forget all that stuff.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah. And you
You
know what
know,
success, yeah, and what success looks like
yeah,
for us, I'll say success for me is the fact
yeah,
we're talking about this and I'm
yeah,
hearing great things and people that are being helped. And for
yeah,
me, it's photographing and sharing photographs of
yes.
people and their dogs and their stories and highlighting not the
Hmm.
disease, we're highlighting the
Hmm.
people who happen to have the disease and the families who love them and
Right.
what makes them special and helping to make just a difference in the world and
I agree.
yeah
I
and
agree.
that's sometimes when I get really like, oh my goodness, I just need a day off, or is it because I have other business too,
Yes.
with art and things, and so
Yeah,
it gets to be a lot, but then that just feeds my soul.
that's
It just
right.
feeds
And
my
I
soul.
and
And
I love when you said, we're not focusing on the illness. That's
hmm.
other people's business. That's big
Yeah.
business. That's
Hmm.
big business. I've advocated down that road, and that's not something that I want to be a part of because that's just too big. Where the statistics are, there's 6 million people in the United States with Alzheimer's, but there's 15 million, 16 million caregivers.
Yes.
So I kind of look at it and go, well, yes, we understand the illness and we need to cure that. I understand that. But what about this group that's triple that size?
Hmm. Hmm.
And Michigan just passed its first Michigan dementia care unit with a small, like $500,000 to see if they can get something going. But part of that is into helping caregivers,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
The caregivers
Mm-hmm.
it's well known. There's research, well known facts. If you've been in this world, the
Yeah.
dementia world at all, the impact on caregivers is huge,
The
and
percentage,
uh,
it's crazy.
it's
So
crazy. Yeah.
when we uh, people ask for help, I say, I'm going to send you a package, and I have a bunch of printed material. And I
Hmm.
probably have 15 pages from the Alzheimer's Association's report, and it's just on the caregiver. And I said,
Hmm.
well, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in there. You should read parts of it because it has to do with you.
Yep.
You're a caregiver.
Yep.
And these are the statistics. So you can either be part of one end of the statistics or the other.
Yep.
But you have to understand that's part of the education of what's going on. And
Yep.
if you I always say if you ignore it, then you're going to be this end of that spectrum that you
Yeah.
really don't want to do. And just
Right.
try to be an advocate for living life,
Yeah. And
even while you're
it's
caregiving.
right. And for caregivers, it is so easy to become invisible
Yes,
because you're caring for someone who needs 24/7 attention.
yes,
And those appointments, even with healthcare providers,
yes.
I know personally, well, I would see, yes, I want to hear about how things are going and about the
Mhm.
person, how they're doing. And then I would look at the caregiver and say, tell me how you're doing. Tell me
Perfect.
how you're doing, because
Yeah,
I know that's an invisible,
right.
because it's hardly, and how many people would just start to cry like nobody's asked me that in so long. I don't
Yeah,
know. Or I don't know, Carmen. I can't even stop long enough to think about it.
and the
Okay.
caregiver puts sugar on it and they sugarcoat it, and I'm this. No, you're a mess. You're just a pool of a mess, and I know it because as soon as
Yeah.
I leave, you're gonna cry or you're gonna go in bed tonight and you're gonna stay awake for 3 hours thinking about either poor me poor me or oh yeah, my loved one or something like it's that
Yeah.
combination that the pressure is always on and
Is
you
always,
know,
what could I have done different? What should I
yes,
do? What am I gonna
right,
do? What, yes, and then just all
yes,
those, yeah, guilt and
right.
shame and all that stuff.
It
Yeah.
is,
It's
and
just
it's
there.
terrible.
It's, yeah, and it's certainly not a weakness. It is just the
No,
reality
it's
of
not a
it.
weakness at
And
all. Right.
no, I would say like the most courageous people out there are caregivers saying,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do this, and
that's right.
they're trying
I, I
so.
always I always say the gas pedal's always down. It
Mhm.
doesn't ease up. It just keeps going down a little bit more every day, and you
Yeah.
can't stop it. You have to just ease up a little bit, and then pressures again, and then pressure.
Oh,
So one of the Suzy stayed at home all the way until her death, and we were very blessed. We had a caregiver that we found that was with us for the last 2.5 years,
wow.
Keisha, and she was a saint with us. And she actually had one of her children while she was our caregiver. And
Mhm.
Daylon grew up in our house for his first couple of years, and uh, she was there to the end. And it was an incredible experience for me too. But the morning that she passed away, um, I had been told by a person who has the gift of how it was going to happen, and it happened just that way, and
Mm.
it was pretty special. But I remember sitting with her when she passed, and I just had this smile on my face as big as it could ever be. It's like, oh my God, you just died. Wow, is that incredible? And then this just came off my shoulders and just went away. And it was
Mm.
so peaceful and it was so great that it's like this is the cool. In fact, I get goosebumps now and thinking about it. But it was a great journey in inspired me to do these things.
Yeah.
This is cool stuff. And
So you sat there in her presence as she
yeah,
passed, as
yeah,
her love and her
yeah,
husband, not as her
yes.
caregiver.
And
Yeah.
Carmen, she has visited me. I don't know who believes and who doesn't believe, but I know that I believe because she's visited me probably 6 or 7 times in the last 2 years.
Really?
And I have some. There's a picture on my phone of a picture of me in a fishing gear, like a shirt and a hat, and I had sunglasses that Liz took in the bedroom. And in the reflection of my sunglass, and you zoom in, it's Suzy. It's
Really?
the most, it's the craziest thing we ever seen. But yeah, it's special, to have that
Wow.
connection. And
Yeah.
there'd be
Oh,
times that I just get up and then it's like I know she's there,
yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Well,
So
40 years of caring for people
yeah,
and being there at the end of
yeah,
their lives and yeah, I've seen some things. It really makes you believe.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I think I say to people too, I said it's an incredible experience that I wish everyone could experience or has the bravery to experience something like
Hmm.
that because
Hmm.
it is it's so beautiful and so peaceful.
Yeah.
And when it was all over, I my tears were gone. I had cried for
Hmm.
the past 8 years.
Right.
I was
Yes.
saddened and everything, but my tears, my all that had been gone. It's already been out. And now
The
it was just
longest grief, right?
yeah,
Mourning.
and then
Yeah.
it was just peaceful. It's like this is
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah.
and it worked out. It worked out fine in my case, and not
Hmm.
everybody's the same. That's for sure. But
Yeah. Oh, what a
yeah,
wonderful gift you must bring to to other family members and things.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I
I'm
hope
so glad
so.
you reached out to us
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
know this is just the beginning here, and I
yes,
just
it
love
is.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I want to ask to
yeah.
the family grants, as
Yes.
y'all are growing and things. Is that Michigan? Is that national? Can people
Um,
reach out to you?
they can reach out. They can definitely reach out and apply for a grant. I think the board and I are in that discussion of where we're going to do it.
Hmm.
But right now, to be honest with you, it is hard to give away money if you can believe it. Many people say, "Oh, somebody else needs it. I'm okay."
Hmm.
And we try to fight that battle, just like I did on Monday, and say, yeah, you can afford it. There's no doubt about it. But what if I let you save some of that money and then I gave you this respite care for the day for Terry and he's good and we'll pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. You know,
Yeah.
so yes, to answer your question, please apply. We would
Okay.
love to see to give away some more money. We really would. So,
And what's your website? Where can they go? Or what's the best way
uh,
to go? I should ask. What's the best way to
team,
find you?
teamsuzy.org is the
Okay.
website, and right on there you can go through it, and it'll get you to the application. If you have any questions, there's a office phone number there, and or an email. I think it's hello@teamsuzy.org, and then I check that every day, and
Great.
my email is mike@teamsuzy.org.
And it's
If you have any questions at all,
SUZY, correct? SUZY?
SUZY, yes,
Okay. Yeah,
SUZY.
that's important. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then we'll answer any questions. Obviously, being a small little 501, we're not bogged down with my employees behind me.
No, no,
Yeah,
you're chatting with the
yeah,
video editor and manager and podcast
yeah.
developer,
Yeah.
PR
After this,
marketing president.
right, after
Yeah.
this, I have to take out the garbage.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's right. Yeah. That's so true.
story. Isn't
Yeah.
that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know for people who are interested, we'll put the link here, the
yeah,
Alzheimer's Association. And I
yes,
also want to mention for our sake, we
yeah,
are partially funded from a grant from Alzheimer's Foundation
right,
of America. And
yes.
they have some awesome information as well. There you go. You're getting ready to apply. Yeah, good, good. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're a wonderful group. And
yeah,
I've just gotten to know them better in the
yeah,
last year and a half, and
yeah,
can't say enough about that. So there are some resources there. Our
yes.
doggiesfordementia.org, we have a resource page,
Okay.
which I'm updating because I'm the website. So update the
Yeah,
website, updating with some incredible resources
right.
for caregivers because
Okay.
I know how important that is, and to have
Right. So
uh,
we'll also link you on our website and promote your program. And then in the future, we'll see how maybe we can incorporate
yeah.
that into the Detroit area.
Oh
And
yeah.
it would be
Well,
awesome. I, it,
all, all I have to
you
do is say, I could go do some photos in Michigan, or I could get a volunteer photographer for
yes.
there, and my husband will already be packing the car. Because he loves to travel. He also loves to
Right.
fish. So there you go. But yeah,
That's good.
that's all
Well,
it would take. So
he likes to fish. Well, I have a little boat on a Bass and Pike Lake. It's
uh,
great.
Northern Pike.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
and
gosh, that's his
bass, and then
favorite.
we're close enough to Lake St. Clair where you can get walleye and
Oh,
everything you want. So,
see, well, I
uh,
know he'll be listening to this, so he's
yes,
probably already packing the car.
I love it.
Yeah. And that would
Uh,
be that would just be
yeah,
just a high point for me
that would be great.
to be
That
there
would
with
be great.
families with their dogs and photographs so that they can have those forever memories of a
Mhm.
joyful time,
I
you know.
agree, and I think our partners at Michigan Humane will be pretty excited to hear about this program.
Mhm.
They're all about new and innovative programs to help it uh, promote anything, but if with animals,
Right.
so they would
Oh
be
yeah.
very much interested in this, and hopefully, what would be great is if we can find another corporate sponsor up here to underwrite us.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that
Likewise
be great?
here. Likewise
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it, but as you know, the money aspect of this is where I had to get my education was not in Alzheimer's and all that. My education
Uh-huh.
was in nonprofits.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that was the Zoom call prior. It's a nonprofit. I got into an organization to learn how to do this.
Yeah. It is
I
a
didn't.
whole new ball game for me too, and many new nonprofits. So people
Yeah,
listening out there, nonprofits,
yeah,
there are
yeah.
some really big ones, and there are
Mhm.
lots of smaller ones that are doing
Lots
great work. But
doing great work, and it's the
yeah,
funding
we
that
need
you have
support.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's the challenge. And I work
Mhm.
with a professional in the industry as a consultant with us because I needed help, and the board okayed it, which was awesome. you
Uh-huh.
know. But
Yeah.
she's like, 25% of your time you have to be fundraising. I'm like, ooh, hey,
Yeah.
that's a big
Only
chunk of time.
25. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
uh-huh.
only 25,
It's a bit.
right?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
that's
Very
our
good.
challenge, and we keep working at it, and that's okay too, though. That's
Yeah,
part of
it
the gig, and
is. Yeah, well,
you
it's
know,
part of your journey, Mike. I
yeah,
mean,
oh
your
yeah,
journey and how
yeah,
that's evolved and what great work you're
yeah.
doing. Yeah.
I know it's
Well,
fun. I'm
yeah.
having fun. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What a great conversation, huh?
Yeah, I have loved this so much.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm going
good.
to invite all of y'all listening to go and check out Team Suzy, SUZY.org.
Yes,
And
yes,
shout out to Mike there.
yeah,
And, send your friends, let people know about
yes,
what's out there. And
yeah,
yeah, just kind of
yeah.
open your mind up to other possibilities because it's exciting.
It
Hmm.
is. It
Hmm.
is, and to folks that are listening, and you have a friend of a friend, or somebody. Another saying I have is you got to go to, instead of
Hmm.
going away, go to, go
Right.
say hello, go. Can I help you? And instead of saying can I help you, is like I'm going to the store. Do you want me to pick up this? And don't
Hmm.
leave that broad question. Just focus in and saying, hey, I'm going to do this. Can I
Yes.
get you? I'm going to get you, or I'm going to pick this up, and
That's exactly right.
that's because the people looking for that help aren't asking all the time, as we know.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah. And
just saying,
sometimes,
uh-huh,
yeah, I've been overwhelmed before. So I'll speak for myself in a state of overwhelm. If someone
yeah,
says, "What do you need?" or "What can I do?" it
yeah,
puts the burden back on me to think
right,
about what is it that I need. And usually that's like a deer in the headlights because
yes,
my brain's all over the place. I'm like, I don't even know what to,
right,
how or what to give away. But if there's a suggestion of something, I
yeah,
don't care how simple it is, it's be like, yeah,
right.
that would be great.
I'm
Yeah.
bringing over dinner tonight. Don't
Yes.
leave me out. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Does your loved one need adult underwear? Does your loved one need,
Yeah.
boost drinks? As I say, what can I? Not what can I bring, but I'm bringing it.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And that then it's like that person who's going to receive it, the caregiver is going to go, wow,
Yeah.
they're very thankful because I did, that's one thing off my list. I can
Right.
check off my list I don't need to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, go to, don't go away, go to. Don't be afraid.
That's so
Don't be
good.
afraid.
Yeah. And those are
That's
sometimes
that's it.
so simple things,
Right. It
like
is a
I'm
simple
in the
thing.
aisle where there's Boost. What's their favorite flavor? I'm going to grab
That's
some.
right.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Your car needs gas, give me the keys.
Yeah.
Let me go get gas in your car and then
Hmm.
drop it off, and do those little things that
Yeah.
help people just get through that day to day, because it's not, they think long term, but it is sometimes that little hour of, or even respite care.
Hmm.
Can I pay for 2 hours or 10 hours of respite care? And where they can get out and live their life, they can go to the doctors, they can go get coffee
Hmm.
with their friends or whatever that is. That means as much as anything,
Yeah.
you know.
Sit in the
And
park, read a
yeah,
book, just
yeah,
decompress a bit. Yeah.
right, right.
Oh, I
You
so
need
love that. Yeah, the small acts of kindness that are
That's all it
huge
is. And
to
that
the
and the greatest thing I think about it is when I say go to, this is not this huge commitment. You're not
mhm,
committing like I'm gonna be with your loved one for 2 weeks.
mhm,
No, I'll stay there for, how about I stay 5 hours,
mhm.
or something like that, and it's okay.
Yeah,
Fortunately that's not a contagious disease, and you'll be okay. But you'll learn a lot too being with someone with dementia.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What a great point to make.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
a huge commitment.
It's
It's
not.
a kind act of kindness. Yeah, I so
That's
love
all
that.
it is.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I've loved this
Okay,
conversation.
Connor.
We're gonna have to wrap it
Yeah.
up. I know.
All
We could
right,
talk
that's
for
great.
hours,
Thank
can't
you.
we? All
Thank you for
right.
having us, Team Suzy, on and telling our story. We appreciate
Oh.
it tremendously. We
You are
really do.
welcome. Our
That's
pleasure. All right,
okay.
y'all. We'll catch up with
All right.
you
We'll
next
see you
week.
soon.
Thanks for watching.
All right. Bye bye.